Hello everybody and welcome back to Adobe Audition Editing, and today we're going to be talking about compressors, something that I didn't find useful until later on in my editing career, until I realized what they did and found them invaluable. So, this is what a compressor is. Essentially what it does is it takes loud bits of audio and reduces the volume, while boosting some of the lower bits of audio to try and maintain the most level sense of audio as you can. So it'll take the loud bits, make them softer, and the soft bits and make them louder, trying to keep something very level. And this is extremely useful, especially if you have loud pops or p, b sounds that will start to max out your audio and create clipping. A compressor will allow you to reduce this and make it a more uniform set of audio. So I've got this piece of audio here.
Test number 1.
And you can see it's been amplified for this example, and you can see down in this corner here it has clipped, and that red means that it's clipped at some point in the audio, and this is something you want to avoid. So how do we add in a compressor? Well, just like every other effect, it is twofold. There's two ways to do it. First method is through the waveform, and the second is through the effects rack, which you can do in the multi-track. So we're going to select this bit of audio right here and add in a compressor. So we go to effects and amplitude and compression, and then multiband or single band compressor. Multiband is a little bit different than the single band. Single band is easier to understand the GUI, so I'm going to go with the single band, but you could obviously research the differences. I'm not entirely well versed on what they are, but this works well enough. So we're going to add in the compressor and listen to what it sounds like.
Test number 1. Test.
So we're going to try and increase the ratio, which is going to make it reduce the audio further. So once it finds a bit of audio that's really loud, it'll reduce it further the higher this ratio is. So we're going to do that, and we're going to put the threshold at a little bit higher like that as well.
Test number 1. Test number 1. Test number 1.
I'm just going to keep messing with
Test number 1. Test number 1.
And so you can see what I was doing there is listening to try and figure out, okay, how can I get rid of this loud peak without decreasing the audio? So I was just messing with each of the settings. We got the output gain, which essentially how much is the audio being boosted after we've reduced the amount. The release, which is basically how long we decrease the gain as soon as we get this loud bit of audio, and how long does it take to release that decreasing the gain? How do we increase back to the normal volume? How long does it take, and this is the attack, how long does it take before we start the reducing of the audio? We've got the ratio, which I explained, and the threshold as well. And so this is a combination of how do we get this to not clip, how do we get this to sound right? So we're going to apply, and as you can see, it's a lot more uniform of an audio, and I can go ahead and play it.
Test number 1.
And it doesn't sound as bad as it did before. And once again, if we were to go to the effects rack, we could do a very similar thing. So we go to this right here and go to your amplitude and compression, single band compressor, do all your effects here, and
Test number 1.
You can hear what it sounds like.
Test number 1. Test number 1.
So one thing that I want to point out while I'm letting this play in the background is that over here you can see the input, and here's the output of the different levels of the input before you put it into the effects rack and what gets output. So you can see if we look at the input,
Test number 1.
it definitely clips. However, the output, since we've added on the compressor, doesn't start to clip, and so we can see the levels of how that output is. And that's something that's very useful for the effects rack. And once again, in the multi-track, it's the same process. You go to here, you add in the effect, and you can just click on any of these. Say we've added in an EQ already, and we just go and add in a compressor and add like that. And I'm just going to leave those settings how they are, and we can go ahead and play it.
Test number 1.
And you can see the input has the clipping, whereas the output does not. And that is compressors. Useful tool for when you get loud audio or just sudden bursts of loud audio. It's a very useful tool. And there you go. See you next time. Thanks for watching.